up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. It's your boy, Kenny, coming at you. And it's a little bittersweet, man. I gotta admit, it's a little bittersweet because we're coming at the end here of our View Askew review series, guys. Clerks 3. It's here. It's out there for all of us fans to go see. It's in theaters now, and Kevin Smith is also going on a road show, taking the movie on tour, which is actually pretty cool, like he did with Jay and Silent Bob Reboot. So he's going to be touring it all across the country. So make sure you check out all those links, man. I'm going to try to get myself out to one of those shows, and hopefully I'll get lucky enough to actually get to say a word to the man. But he'll be there in the building watching the movie along with the fans. So if you weren't aware of that, make sure you check that out as well and support everything he's got going on over there. And make sure you support everything we got going on over here. Click that subscribe button. Click the like. Please, please, please make sure you follow us on the social media pages and download all the episodes of the podcast network. All of that really helps the show, helps us grow, helps us reach more like-minded geeks like yourselves and all the great people watching this video as we speak. So, with no further ado, it's time for some View Askew, and we're back with our boys, Randall and Dante. It has been 16 years since Clerks II, which is crazy to think about, man. I remember watching that film for the first time when I was about 13 or 14 years old, man. So it's really, really surreal to see how all this time, I was about, 13 years old. So it's crazy to see how all this time, I was about 14, yeah. So about 14, almost 15, yeah. So it's pretty crazy to see how all these things have changed in my life, in Kevin Smith's life, and in all the View Askew movies in general, because the only one we've gotten since Clerks 2 is the Jay and Silent Bob reboot. So it's pretty crazy to see how there's been that really long gap there. So all of us Kevin Smith fans were definitely very excited when they finally dropped the official news of Clerks 3 a couple years back, man. And he was finally back in Jersey filming this thing with the cast and crew. Got to see this nice little behind-the-scenes featurette at the end of the film, which was so damn awesome, so inspiring, and so much cool information you got to get about the behind the scenes, because at that point I didn't realize they hadn't been back to that original quick stop since way back in the day for Clerks 2 or 3. So I was like, for Clerks 2 or Jay and Silent Bob Reboot or any of the other films, Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, any of them. So I was like, holy shit, man, that's really, really awesome how, like, 25 years later or something like that, they're finally back at the original quick stop where Kevin Smith used to work before he hit it big with Clerks in 94, Sundance. Everything else was history. You know what I'm saying? So really awesome to see him going back to his humble beginnings and doing this new installment, man. We're back with our boys, Dewey. Oh my gosh, this is not Scream. Get a hold of yourself, Kenny. Dante and Randall. Excuse me.
That's how we did it in the 90s, son!
Are back at the quick stop, of course. They now own it, as we know from the end of Clerks 2. They rebought the quick stop thanks to a loan from Jay and Silent Bob. They got to open a little weed shop right next door. RST is now selling THC, and they're over there doing their thing. They got the little dispensary thing going on over there next door. The boys have been running the business, and it's doing good. It's doing well. They still got Elias working with them all these years later. And apparently, he's all up in that crypto game, baby. They got those NFTs. They're getting all that digital currency going. You know what I'm saying? That seems to be the way of the future and all that. And it's so funny because Dante and Randall don't know what the hell that shit is. I barely even understand it. And I'm in the generation of the shit that makes it. So that'll tell you something right there. So those dudes are like, I don't know what the fuck you kids are saying, man. And everything's just kind of, another day at the office and whatnot. And for the most part, not too much has changed, really. Randall's still talking shit to the customers, being a smart ass, doing his thing. Dante's still holding it down, making sure to provide all the great customer service at the shop and all that. But we soon find out And once again, it's in the title. Big spoiler warnings for this, guys. If you haven't watched Clerks 3 yet, please, I beg of you, go watch it and come back here if you haven't seen it yet. So big spoilers, full on ahead, big spoilers. If you haven't even seen Clerks 2 and for some reason you're watching this review, big spoilers coming. Big spoilers, okay? All right, here we go. So, at the end of Clerks 2, as we all know, Dante left his actual fiancée, Emma, played by Kevin Smith's real-life wife, Jennifer Schwalbach Smith, and he left her, got with Becky. She was pregnant at the time, as we know, and they were actually about to have a daughter that they actually, I am forgetting the name. Willow, I believe, was going to be her name, I think. I think Willow was the name. They were going to name her Willow. Notice how I say they were gonna. Because unfortunately, a drunk driver had hit their vehicle when she was going into labor. And unfortunately, our girl Becky, played by the great Rosario Dawson, did not make it, and neither did the kid. So Dante's been going through a big depression over these last 15, 16 years, man, and hasn't really moved on fully from it. And still is dealing with that grief and processing that trauma. And that that in and of itself, right off the bat, when that was introduced in the film, when they showed, because Randall, the big inciting incident of this film, so I don't get too scattered-brained here, is Randall and Dante are at the store doing their normal thing. Elias is pissing off Randall, talking about this big kite thing they got going, and these NFTs and these kites, physical kites that they're also selling online to get a bunch of try to make some cash or whatever. Randall, he's getting all pissed off because of the argument or whatever, and then Randall ends up actually having a heart attack.
Really? Should I try mouth stuff?
What is this, a Tinder date? Get off of me. Oh, shit.
Mr. Dante! I need an ambulance at the quick stop.
And collapsing in the store. Dante calls 911, and they end up going to the hospital, and when Dante gets there, the way they reveal this information of the backstory of Becky, unfortunately, the way that she passed away, they show a quick flashback of her getting wheeled into the hospital when he sees someone getting wheeled in on a gurney, and it shows Rosario Dawson right there as the character Becky, her obviously pregnant, and you see Dante going after her, very upset, and they kind of de-aged him a little bit too from what it looks like, and it looked really good. It pretty much looked like how he did in Clerks 2, so that was a really good job. I don't know if that was footage they were going to use back then or how they did that necessarily, but if he used de-aging or makeup or however they did it, it was well done, because for that quick shot, at least from what I could tell, it looked pretty legit, like that was him about a decade or so ago. So I bought it because, obviously, he looks a bit older now. They're not like ancient or anything, but they look like they're a lot closer to 50 than back then when they were just getting into their early mid 30s. So that's, different time shift shit. I was in my early teens, and I'm in my late 20s. So it's just that time gap or whatever, that gap in time. But so that's a big inciting incident right there, and that's how they reveal to you all the tragic backstory with Dante and what he's been dealing with and what his ultimate character arc is going to be for this film, man. And I got to tell you, Kevin Smith has been improving, obviously, with every film and over the years, and as all creatives and all artists do, they're putting time into the craft, those 10,000 hours, they're getting better and better and better and better. Kevin Smith has definitely done the same thing, and I love all the heart and emotion and the really deep character development that he's really been putting into his films as of late, especially within the VIEWASKEWNIVERSE, which you wouldn't expect that type of stuff. The only kind of film really that you get a lot of that, or more so just that really grounded real-life drama, real-life trauma, and real-life things that people are going through, and just those real three-dimensional characters in that way, in a much more dramatic than just comedic way, was really just in 97 Chasing Amy, the third installment in the VIEWASKEWNIVERSE. Kevin Smith hasn't really gone back into that dramatic to that length until he did Jay and Silent Bob Reboot, with the whole storyline of Jay getting to be reunited with his long-lost daughter that he had with Justice, played by Kevin Smith's real-life daughter, Harley Quinn Smith, who was a damn good actress in her own right, and she's been doing a lot of great things, Tarantino movies and all that. Make sure you check out her work. Hit up that IMDb and check her stuff out too. And she pops up in there in that regard, and she has a quick couple scenes in this as well, which was fun to see her pop in here, and it's cool to see her be a part of the universe, man. Everyone in Kevin Smith's world, they're a part of this. They're a part of his world in these films. I always love that, and that's always really awesome. But going on with this one. So that's the big thing. And then Randall's like, God damn, man, my life has really not amounted to shit. I need to do something. I need to shit or get off the pot like I told you. I haven't really been doing anything. I just been kind of spinning my wheels, wasting my time. And when I see my life flash before my eyes, and when I seen it, my life sucks, you know? Like, there's nothing really special going on. I'm not leaving a mark behind.
My life, man. Wish I had a life worth saving.
What are you talking about?
Sit around and watch the same movies over and over.
I always thought you could have made a cool movie.
You're right. I'm living on borrowed time. No more watching movies.
I'm gonna make a movie!
And he said, essentially, when I'm gone, the only people that are going to remember me are you and Elias. You know, I don't have anybody in this life other than you guys, and I don't have anything else or any really big impact that I made for my time here. And since I'm on borrowed time, the way that Kevin Smith always says in real life, fuck it. I'm going to make the most of it. I'm going to make a movie about my life, because Dante's like, you know, man, I always loved how, you know, from you watching all these movies, you know a lot about them. You know, I always thought you could make a cool movie, you know, just kind of like an offhanded suggestion, just kind of a lighthearted compliment to keep his spirits up. Because as the doctor that did the operation and got Randall back, saved his life, played by Amy Sedaris, who had a very fun and hilarious cameo, by the way. And I have complained a little bit in the past in her performance in Mandalorian, just to take a nerdy tangent here. I thought sometimes her humor is a little too hammed up over there in Mandalorian season 1, more so than season 2. But right here in Clerks 3, I thought she fit in like a glove, and with the overall comedic tone of these films, especially more in this first half, especially at that beginning in the first act, definitely played in really well here.
If you know what's wrong, then I guess I can go home.
Are you the doctor?
I'm the doctor, Dr. Leidenheim. I'll be your savior this evening.
What in the...
I apologize for my wardrobe. I just came from my costume ball.
Listen.
And I really loved her cameo. I thought she was very funny, but also very came with, I don't know, the way she played it seemed very authentic but funny at the same time. I thought she had a perfect balance of that, and just great comedic timing as always, because Amy Sedaris is obviously hilarious. She's a great comedic talent in and of herself. So cool to see Kevin Smith throwing her in here and kind of getting a little bit of that Star Wars crossover that he always likes to do throughout the VIEWASKEWNIVERSE. We've had Mark Hamill, Luke Skywalker up in this thing, Jay and Silent Bob reboot. We also had Carrie Fisher up in there. No Harrison Ford, unfortunately. I don't think we got Billy D. But yeah, so here's another member of the Galaxy Far, Far Away popping up in here. So that's pretty awesome. And moving on from there, man, going through the rest of the film. So they start making the film. They're having a good time recreating these iconic scenes that we know from the original Kevin Smith film, Clerks, you know. And it's so crazy, the whole meta element that he did with this movie, even more so than Jay and Silent Bob, where Kevin Smith was in the movie, a fictional version of Kevin Smith. So I like how, and him coming in as the DP shooting the film as Silent Bob, that's a whole meta element in and of itself. I just love the meta nature of this one, man. And it's a lot of fun. And catching up with Elias, he's all of a sudden going satanic over here because him praying to God didn't end up working out for Randall, he thought. And then he goes into this whole emo goth like satanic thing or whatever. And that was one of the few bits in this movie that I didn't think was actually as funny as a lot of the other stuff in here, because when it comes to the humor for this movie, Kevin Smith and the team delivered. This is one of the funniest movies in the catalog for sure. I was fucking busting up, dude. There was so many like little like moments and like even little like asides and little lines of dialogue that just really had me cracking up, man. Like, so many funny jokes, man. I'm not going to ruin them or try to recreate them here because I'm not going to do them justice. So many funny bits between the whole thing with, I thought his name was Sergio, and the whole little dick thing in the beginning when Randall's not wanting, and there's a really great Justin Long cameo when it comes to the earlier part of the film. That's hilarious. It's just a lot of really great, funny stuff, as you expect from these View Askew movies. But I don't want to ruin all the great bits for my fellow Kevin Smith fans and for my fellow fans out there and for all the people watching this video. Don't want to spoil everything for you, but there's a lot of fun bits in here, man. But I thought the Elias one did get a little played out with him and his little Silent Bob friend or whatever. That guy was pretty funny, though. He had one of the funniest like moments at the end of the film when he ends up talking for the first time. So the way they did that new Silent Bob act with him did pay off in a fun way. And I don't remember the name of the young actor here. Let me see if I could pull it up. It was funny, too, because at the Hall H panel they did for this movie, Kevin Smith actually revealed that he is dating this actor. I'm about to bring up his name. the new Silent Bob character here, essentially, he's dating Harley Quinn Smith, Kevin Smith's daughter. So that's pretty cool for him. Austin Zuhur. Yeah, Austin Zuhur is the guy that's up in here. Oh, we're the same age. What do you know? Or he's technically a year younger. Whatever. But yeah, man. So he's done some things, man. He's been in Fist Fight and Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, Countdown. Yeah. So he's been doing some things, man. So he's a young actor, obviously, and I don't know how he met Harley Quinn Smith, but hey, good for you, man. But he's up in this thing, doing his thing, and he was pretty funny overall. But yeah, so as the film goes along, Randall's just doing his director thing, trying to make this movie, and freaking Dante even goes to his ex Emma for her quick cameo and has to borrow money from Quick Stop and put his own half of his half of the ownership of the store as collateral to get the money to fund this movie that Randall's trying to create, as he calls Clerks. Or Clerks, something like that. So it's funny how it all just ties in with that ultra meta nature. And, everything starts going off the rails when they're going to go to movies to recreate the Kinky Kelly donkey show thing. And once they get there, Dante just starts having like major flashbacks to, just having like that PTSD, and he just can't go in there, hasn't been there since Becky passed away, and he just can't really get over it. And there's some really great cameos with Rosario Dawson as like kind of like a spiritual version of her talking to Dante, kind of like a physical manifestation of what he's going through for us, the audience, and everything. And just a great way to bring in Rosario Dawson to interact with Dante. So you really get the feeling of what he's going through and that grief and that trauma he's trying to deal with. It's really awesome the way that Rosario Dawson gets to come up in here and play a deceased version of the character and still get still get some really great scenes and some great dramatic moments. And as we all know, she's a great actress anyway, so she's going to deliver in that department, but did such a great job in those scenes with Brian O'Halloran, a.k.a. Dante. Love that dynamic, but he just can't go back in movies, man. He ends up running off and getting drunk, and when they try to shoot the rest of the movie, after a lot of the other shenanigans go down, they end up having a really huge argument, and Dante essentially says, like, I'm not your friend anymore, and I'm done with you, bro. Like you're making this whole movie about supposedly your life, and you're putting all these details in that are from my life, too, because I was there with you the whole fucking time, bro. Remember? I was kind of there with you for the past 25, almost 30 years at this fucking store, and then even before that, because we were fucking childhood friends. Yeah, everything you're writing about, I was fucking there. Because you're not writing about your own experiences outside of that. You're writing about all your shit that goes on here at the Quick Stop. I was there. So it ain't all about you. So stop being so fucking selfish. And you're always talking about how you almost died and stuff. And he's all throwing this in Randall's face. And I got to say, this is Brian O'Halloran and Jeff Anderson's best work on screen I've ever seen. It is such a great, powerful moment because you really feel the history between these two characters as actual people, and it really feels like they have a true relationship. They are really best friends, and obviously for people that really were around my age or a little bit younger when the first Clerks came out, you have watched them for 20 some years. I haven't watched them for that full time, but I have watched them since Clerks II, so I've watched them for a big chunk of that time. You know what I mean? So it's like I get the whole history between them and what we've seen in these other two movies. And not just that, but all the stuff that happens in between those movies and beforehand because of all this history they have together as childhood best friends, So all that really plays in, and you really feel the history and the connection, but also the big conflict between these two and the way that Randall's actually being very selfish with what Dante's going through and has been dealing with for all these years and hasn't really been there in the best way for him in that way, dealing with that issue. Now, it isn't like now Randall has a lot of experience with that, but still being his best friend, he definitely could have been there and been a little more there for him in that regard. So that was one of the things that I really liked in this film, how Kevin Smith wrote that conflict between those two and kind of showed the uglier side of Randall and how that can kind of take over in that overall negative side of him. While it can sometimes be very entertaining and funny, can kind of bring out that negative stuff. And then, bam, Dante freaking passes out right there. And I'm just like, oh, no. Like, don't do this. Don't do this. And, yeah, and there's a beautiful moment where Randall comes to the hospital to try to see what's going on with Dante, and at first they kick him out, but then he goes and gets all these clips and things from their past, and you essentially get to see real life scenes from Clerks 1 and 2 and some behind the scenes photos and whatnot playing as like memories and different things from their past that he's playing for him in like a slideshow kind of thing and like a, for Dante when he's there in the bed and everything. But unfortunately, Dante's really just seeing his life flash before his eyes there, and you get this nice flash to like a scene, like a different place in like this theater where Dante's with Becky, watching his life before his eyes, like how people always say that analogy. It's like a flash of, it's like a movie before your eyes. You like watch it, your life flash before your eyes, and everything that you saw and went through. And in that moment, you know, he's okay to leave, and he says, "Okay, I'm ready to go now. We can go. It's time for us to go now. I think we should leave the theater and everything." And I was like, "Wow, I get it." He's like, "All right, we're back together again. I'm ready to go home." And I was like, "Wow, man, like that was really beautiful and really emotional for me, and really hit me, man. Really hit me in that emotional core. Really pulls on those heartstrings, man, because you know, I've lost a fair amount of loved ones in my life, and some really close people to me in the last few years. So you know, the death of Dante, man, something that's always gonna be a very powerful part of the story, and is always gonna be one of Kevin Smith's finest things as a writer. And the way that he's able to pull all these things from his real life, and the way, and all these different demons and things that he had to deal with, and the way that he's able to put this into this movie with such this beautiful and sad but heartfelt ending that feels right, and kind of concludes the overall journey of the Clerks, I think, in the right way.
It's something I would point to, like even on Clerks, you know, the boys fight in the third act, and there's really not that much funny about it. There's like, it gives them a chance to show off their dramatic chops and stuff. So he kind of stayed within a recipe, so to speak, but then brought a few more ingredients that nobody was expecting. I honestly feel like with Clerks 3, we give you the movie that you're expecting, and then we give you a whole different movie that reminds you how precious life is.
And there's actually an excerpt that he wanted to include in this movie that he didn't include in the final cut of the movie, that he did read in a voiceover at the during the end credits of the film, where Randall was going to go on to pretty much have the career that Kevin Smith has in this universe, right? So he was going to go on. Clerk was going to be a huge success, and he was going to make a bunch of other films up until like his 80s or 90s, and then when he was like around 90s or old or something like that, he was going to win like this big award or an Oscar or something, or be at this big to do, and they were going to ask him about his career and how everything went, and you know, he was like, "Well, you know, everything I went through got me here to this point, and I wouldn't change a thing." And I'm like, wow, like that's just so crazy how like that big experience like fueled Randall and inspired him to go on and have this great career and create these films that really pulled from him as a person and from his life and the different experiences that he went through in the same way that Kevin Smith has. So I love all that symmetry and the poetry and just the way that that all comes together at the end of this film. And yeah, it's a beautiful story, man. I really love this movie, man. And obviously, y'all know I'm biased. This is the View Askew review. I love Kevin Smith to death, so y'all pretty much knew that I was going to go in and have some enjoyment with this, and I think all Kevin Smith fans will have enjoyment with it. But this is a beautiful film, man, and I think if you're not a Kevin Smith fan, you may not love this film quite the same way I do, but I think there's enough here and enough emotional core at this, enough of an emotional backbone to this movie, and just so much heart and so much such great characters that you really feel like you've gotten to know, and feel like good buddies of yours that you've known for years and shit like that. And just such well written characters, man, and it's just such great character development throughout these three Clerks films, man. And just such a great way to tie it all up, man. And just on a fun side of things, the moments where Silent Bob actually speaks in this movie is some of the funniest but most poignant stuff and meta stuff at the same time. Jason Mewes is on fucking fire. This guy just gets funnier and funnier with every movie, it seems like. I don't know how he does it. I guess he just keeps getting better at playing the character, but he was so damn funny in this with the terribly like over the top bad acting he was doing, because he wasn't used to being an actor, even though in real life he actually sort of had a little bit of wasn't the best actor at first, but he really like came into his own and always had that electric energy about him. I loved how in this he has zero acting talent. It's just so funny the way that he's just messing up lines left and right and shit. It's like, it's so funny, man. Like I really enjoyed Jay and Silent Bob in this one, and that was definitely one of the best comedic elements of the movie was them two, for sure. Love the whole RTC THC weed shop thing. That was hilarious, and yeah, man. And there's a lot of fun moments to be had with Clerks, especially as a damn near lifelong fan at this point, man. I really loved all the references to the other Clerks films, all the different cameos from Ben Affleck to the lovely lady that played Karen in man, I'm mixing up my names here. The woman that played Dante's girl in the first one, Veronica, I met Marilyn Gigliotti. I'm not sure exactly how to say it. I'm pretty sure I butchered it, but I'm gonna go with Gigliotti. Marilyn Gigliotti, who played Veronica in the original Clerks, man. She's back. So many great cameos from pretty much every single actor in the original Clerks film almost comes back in this one, and several from Clerks 2 in that whole audition sequence, which is just really funny. And I had a lot of fun with that, man. And just wanted to include some of those funner elements before we wrapped up the review. Didn't want to end on too much of a down note, man. But such a beautiful, poignant, emotional ending to this film, man. I absolutely love this movie. It was so well done, so funny. I do think the first 10, 15 minutes, it did take just a few minutes to find its footing. And I think a few of the bits don't necessarily land the way that I think Kevin Smith intended. But overall, it's a very funny, very well done, emotionally resonant film that is really going to stick with me for a long time and has really inspired me at this point in my life and in this next chapter of my life and in things that I'm trying to navigate. It just really inspires me for the future to keep pushing for what I want to do. And just knowing that I'm going to be okay and that I'm still here. So that's all that we could really ask for is make the best of what you have. Chase those dreams. Try to make everything happen that you can. Make the most of it. Be in the moment. And just remember, you're here. So that's a blessing. That's a gift. And live it up and enjoy it while you can, because once it's gone, it's gone. You're not going to get another life to live. So make the most of that life that you got now, man. And all that really rings true with this film. Absolutely love Clerks 3. I love this movie, man. 9.5 out of 10. This is a fantastic movie. But what says you out there, y'all? Let me know what you thought about this movie. I would love to hear from y'all about it. And this is going to be the last stop, or the second to last stop, technically, on the View Askew review series. We got a ranking coming out very soon, within the next couple weeks, of all the Kevin Smith View Askew-niverse movies, from Clerks to Clerks 3 and everything in between. We're going to do that whole big ranking, man. And yeah, so by the time you've seen this, man, it's pretty much it for the View Askew reviews part of the review series. We're going to have that ranking to end it off here. And yeah, man, and just if Kevin Smith, man, if you ever see this review any somehow, I doubt it, but if you ever see this, man, thank you so much for creating these awesome characters in this beautiful universe for all of us fans out there to fall in love with and to find so many life lessons and so much inspiration and so much joy. And these movies have always had a special place in my heart, and just the fandom of Kevin Smith movies for me is always going to represent a very innocent, a very pure, and a very fun time of my life when I discovered these movies. And is always going to represent that that kid that had a dream and that kid that was having fun with his friends and just wanted to create something cool with his buddies. And now I'm kind of doing that with this channel. So it's kind of cool to see everything come full circle. And yeah, man. So much love to you, Kevin Smith, you and the fam. And thank you for creating these great films and these great characters. And I can't wait to see what you do in the future. And I'm always going to support what you do, brother. And for all you fans watching, thank you so much for checking out this review. Thank you so much for being subscribed to the channel if you are already. We're trying to hit our big goal of 100 subscribers by the end of the year. Not a huge number in YouTube standards, but we're trying to grow from the bottom and trying to build this foundation of this great community, guys. So thanks for being a part of it if you already are, and we would love for you to join. And you can hop on this train at any time. And until next time, guys, stay safe out there. Much love. Stay tuned. Don't sleep. Snoochie Booches.